What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from the quarantine zone again, and this time we are here with Jesse of Stormruler. Thank you so much for being here today, man. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's so cool to have you here. Congratulations on, signing with Napalm Records, and we got the brand new album Under the Burning Eclipse coming out very soon. How was the overall making of this album? Was there kind of like a preconceived idea or a goal that you had in mind, or was there like a lot of improvising and like a lot of trial and error involved with the making of this?
There really wasn't a lot as far as trial and error. I mean, the short version is that Jason and I got together just to kind of write an album together. It wasn't really a band we had that had been playing shows or whatever. It was just he and I knew each other from the scene around here playing together. And so we were like, hey, we should make an album. And so over the course of a couple of months, we wrote a bunch of songs and kind of as we went, kind of formulated what it could turn into. And we know plenty of people around here that can, mix it for us and whatever. And I have like a little home studio rig here in my basement. And to be honest, it came together really easily. And we kind of took our time because there wasn't like a huge rush, and we were in the middle of working with other stuff. But over the course of a year, got it to where we were happy with it, and then that's pretty much exactly what how it came about. There wasn't a lot in the way of preconceiving. Yeah, it was just kind of more like it just kind of happened.
do you
So
uh, do you feel that the first two singles you released, "Reign of the Winged Duke" and "Of Hollowed Souls" and "Distant Flames," serve as a good representation of what we could be expecting on this album, or is there a lot more to be discovered with it?
I think yes and yes. Yes, they are good, pretty much example prime cuts, if you will, of what we generally are about. But deeper within the record, you will find lots of other stuff and cool stuff to explore. So, yeah.
Okay. It was the goal for Stormruler, because this is the debut album. Was there kind of like going into the making of this, were you trying to have like a sound that ultimately defined you, or are you trying to maybe experiment a little bit more with your sound and maybe step into more uncharted territory?
I think as we set out and wrote the first couple songs, we did have the idea of a sound that would define us. And I think as we started to write a few more songs, started to have around 5 songs going, that's when we were like, yeah, we should do a little bit of this and we should do a little bit of that. And there was a lot of just being like, we can do whatever we want. I was making that an album for fun. So to answer your question, it started off with one general idea in mind, but it didn't take long for us to just try incorporating some other ideas as the process went on.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people are going to hear this and like immediately think black metal, and it definitely does have that raw black metal feel to it. But I think that this is a album that I think will satisfy the long, running Dark Throne and Emperor and Mayhem fans. But I think this has like a lot of the new school, vibe behind it as well. I think it's going to be a gateway drug to black metal, as well as
Yeah,
real
yeah,
classic vibe behind it.
for sure. Yeah, and like I'm a big power metal fan, and like there's the occasional, musically at least, there's I think a few power metal fans might even find some things to latch onto there as well. So
We,
there you go.
Yeah. In terms of like the meaning of the music and stuff like that, is there a specific concept that maybe that this album revolves around? Is there sort of like a story that you're trying to engage listeners to follow, or is this album completely 100% open to interpretation?
One, I guess, a kind of a mantra of ours that we developed over time is war and lore. So those are kind of like the two main key concepts that drive our music. I mean, we like, the concepts of depicting musically the various emotion, the range of emotions of a war, like before the battlefield, the night before, the morning of the actual event itself, after, when there's just like desolation everywhere, you're just looking around, wiping your brow. And then also like we're interested in, various like tales, I guess, fictions, and also non that have deep lore to them, like interesting stories and backstories and stuff. And when we first started, I guess, experimenting lyrically and kind of formulating lyrically what we'd be about, the first idea we were both like down with was writing some Dark Souls themed lyrics, because the Dark Souls and FromSoft games are so killer lore wise. It's so deep, and we were like, this is definitely something to dip into. And then as that grew on, there's a book we read, the Malazan Book of the Fallen. There, Jason had some ideas stemming from like historical Viking battles and conquerings and just stuff like that. Anything involving, armor, swords, cries of battle, and the occasional, fictionalized dark magic or dragons and shit like that, generally that we just felt would work for black metal framework.
So the best way to sum it up is as if Isan were to sing for Sabaton in a way.
Not bad at all. I do love me some Sabaton.
Yeah, they're
In fact, I have this giant Sabaton banner right there.
Oh hell yeah! You got a great handful of banners actually in your lair there. I've been eyeing, as you were speaking, I've been eyeing the Emperor backdrop.
This is like our general. This is my like basement studio where the Stormruler album was more or less. Most of it was recorded. All of it was written. So like, yeah, man. It's where the action happens.
Yeah, I mean, I see the Emperor backdrop. I see the Mayhem backdrop. It's pretty.
Yeah, this is another band I have, Cast the Stone, the blue one there.
Oh, they're awesome. I couldn't. I forgot what their logo looked like, but Cast the Stone is a really, really great band.
Nice. Yeah, I played drums in that band that we formed from a long time ago, and finally were able to put something out a couple of years back. So
really?
Checking that out.
Oh yeah, really? That's funny. I'm learning something new. So how different of a mind frame was it going from Cast of Stone into Stormruler?
Well, drum wise, not too much I mean, different enough because Stormruler tends to be blast beat heavy, a lot of like faster parts. Some groove and stuff, of course, but Cast of Stone was a little more, I don't want to say like proggy, but like in our death metal and like melodic death metal, we have the occasional, like thinking part, if you will. And like the drums are definitely different, but it's still like it's still right in my style, So.
Awesome.
That's an interesting question.
Yeah, and it's funny too because like do you feel that when you're in multiple projects or play with different bands, you almost portray different sides of yourself in a way, or like people are going to see a different side of you?
I think it's a good way as a musician to broaden your horizons and try and play as many. I like to play as many styles of music as I can. Like really, the only thing I guess I can't really do is like salsa or like jazz,
Yeah.
I love to play. I'll sit behind the drums and play really whatever, and it's definitely fun to have different projects and different styles. And then the Venn diagram has a little bit of overlap of things that you can familiarize and set as a base, but then lots of room for experimentation.
Yeah. As a drummer, have you always needed music to lay down the rhythm and the beat and all that stuff? Or do you sometimes have like a whole drum pattern written down and maybe that could dictate the arrangement of the song?
I think usually the music and as of late, when the bands I'm in, the music kind of comes first, and then the drum beats just kind of come to me. It's like, and then there definitely will be some tweaking of that as time goes on, but the music kind of comes first. I rarely have I been like, I come up with a unique beat and it's like, let's start the song with this, and then like the song revolves around that, and that's not necessarily something I would be down to do if I could actually come up with a cool enough beat, you know. But like I think of like Alice in Chains, you know, No Excuses. He comes in with a
That's a great song.
you know, like that beat is just money, and then it's like you got that beat, and it's like, well, you just play that, and we'll write the entire song around it with a nice chorus. And like that'd be cool to have something like that. But with the music I play, it's generally the music comes first, and then I try to formulate drum parts that keep me interested and that I think would keep other people interested as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think a good example too. I don't know if you like this band, but Disturbed's "Down with the Sickness" is another good example of like.
Oh, yeah, I mean the rhythmic design of that song, you know, you can just that the song is driven by that one design, and I think that's a sign of a clever drum part for sure.
Yeah, and we're not going to talk shit about other musicians or your fellow bandmates, but when you get the music presented to you before there's any drums, be honest, how off time is it sometimes?
Well, you know what? It's funny you mentioned that. With the case of Stormruler, Jason and I write this pretty much the song from start to finish, more or less happen. Both of us sitting there, like I'll have a riff, or he'll have a riff, or often like two riffs. We'll have two riffs, and then you'll present to the other guy, and he'll be like, "Why don't we do this?" And then all of a sudden, it's taken in a direction you didn't think, and it's like it just comes together. So with Stormruler, one or two riffs is like the catalyst to like get a song going, and then another guy, like maybe he or I might be like, I've kind of been wanting to do like a slow, we need a song with like a killer slow, like black and roll, just like pounder in the middle, and then we'll somehow like we'll work that in, you know, because it's like time for that, or it just happens to make sense. But in other bands I'm in, sometimes the entire song will be written, you know, which I love that. I love if a guitar player is like, I got this whole song, and I'm like, hell yeah, you know, there might be some you know, some tweaks might happen, but there's so much of the work already done, you know.
Yeah.
So like in a case like that, that's glorious for me as a drummer, you know. And then I've dabbled. I don't really play guitar, but I can like write music on my keyboard here, you know, like Doom sounds like a Doom level, you know, or whatever. And then like I've dabbled into writing entire songs as well as a drummer, that I can be like, this is how I would want rhythmically a song to ebb and flow that would keep me as a drummer and a rhythmic minded person interested. And then that's always fun, trying to get guitar players to learn your music as a drummer. But
well, they better learn your music. The famous saying of all music: if your drummer sucks, your band sucks. So
hey man, I mean, in metal, yeah, drums have like some kind of extra importance in metal, I feel like, you know, depending on what's happening, for sure. Yeah, it's important for sure.
And playing with multiple projects and multiple bands, do you always try to keep them separate entities, or do you sometimes learn something in one project that you'd like to bring into another in a way?
I generally keep them separate. I mean, they kind of all have their own thing going, and like they're all different enough that I don't know. I guess maybe like I have a power metal band called Oracle, and I guess my love of the, you know, you know, that kind of worked its way into Stormruler. Just like it was like that's a drum beat I love playing. You know, it's like that's gonna happen. And then you listen to like bands like Emperor or like Dark Funeral, Marduk, and they'll have that beat. You know, it's like, we got to work that in, you know. So maybe that might be kind of a power metal leaking into Stormruler idea. But and you know what, now that I think about it, Caststone, some power metal made its way in there too.
Yeah.
I guess again, power metal is just fun to play, but drum wise, yeah, it's fun.
You'd be amazed on what kind of hybrids have been incorporated with black metal. There's a band, a great up and coming black metal band that just signed a Napalm a couple years ago called Imperium Decadence. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
Okay, yeah, you mentioned that I haven't checked them out, but
yeah,
I shall.
They're okay. So they have a song where those riffs, seriously, I'm not even exaggerating, are like it's like an alternative song. Like it really, like you can listen to that black metal. I've always said that it was as if Mayhem and Yellow Card's Ocean Avenue made a child together.
I've never heard. I must confess, I haven't listened. I've never heard that, but
okay.
But I've heard of Yellow Card, and I know that it's probably pretty far off from Mayhem. So
it's a black metal song for Warped Tour. I'll put it to you that way. But it works
Well,
so well. It is so catchy to listen to. Like
interesting.
it sounds better than I could describe it. And one of my personal favorite black metal bands ever is Life Lover, and I mean they're completely like you never heard of them.
No.
Uh,
I haven't really discovered much black metal in the last like 5 years,
yeah.
truthfully.
Well, they're not around anymore, but Life Lover. If
Are
you
they
want,
like older band?
they're pretty much credited for inventing what we know as suicidal black metal. Um, and look up the album Pulver. Just when this interview is done, look up the album Pulver. It is, I think,
Like Pulver with a P.
Pulver.
Okay.
I think it's powder in Swedish, but and
Okay.
it really great band and very very unique. So
Got it.
if you want to go down to the rabbit hole a little bit.
Yeah, what you were saying, like I think a band that kind of reminded me of like a black metal like grunge band when I first heard it was, or like a '90s kind of band was Agalloch the Mantle.
Oh my god, I love that album.
When that record first came out, it very much reminded me of like, like like a grungy Seattle sound.
Well, they're from that region. They're Cascadian,
right?
So like,
yeah, sure, Portland or whatever, I believe.
Yeah.
So like, I kind of appreciated that element of that band's music for sure. So I can get that. I can get that. I was born in 1982, so I mean, in the '90s, I watched MTV every day. I just sat there and was like, I watched all the shows, all the videos, and was just like, whoa.
I was born in '93,
so I appreciate that shit.
I was born in '93, so I missed all that shit. But
yeah.
But
see, see, too bad you didn't have you didn't have the glory days of MTV.
No.
Played these awesome videos.
Nope.
Peter Gabriel Sledgehammer. I remember sitting there being like,
oh
my god, Hammer Hands comes out. Oh, this part's scary.
And people want to say like being born in '93. Like I'll put it this way: I'm so old school that I buy my music off iTunes still. So that's how old school I am.
Well,
yeah.
That's one way of old school in it.
Yeah, and while The Mantle is a great album, by the way, when it comes to Agalloch, Ashes Against the Grain is the one I'll always.
I do love that one.
Yeah, Falling Snow is my favorite
well.
black metal song ever.
Not unlike The Waves. Ooh, what a jam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we nerded out. I love it when we have when I get to have discussions like this.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't happen often. And that leads me though to my final question. Now that you have this debut album now, what is sort of like next in store for Stormruler? I know that's kind of a cliche question, but do you think that this is going to be the sound you're going to want to stick with as you further explore, or are you going to step into more uncharted territory?
I think we're going to remain faithful to this sound pretty assuredly, but there's always room to explore. Jason and I both have a lot of different like music stuff that gets us going, and I feel that we will maintain our style quite well, but I feel that there will be some surprises, to answer your question. Yeah, we do have a bunch of other we have a lot, we have plenty of, we've been writing lots of cool new music, so we're pretty psyched to see what the next couple of years will bring.
Yeah, watch Stormruler sound like Barry White, but
maybe more Manilow.
Okay, that'll work. There should be a black metal covers album. Alexi Laiho, may rest in peace, came close to it with his covers album, but there should really be like songs that are not
just like ridiculous songs that are like black metal coverings of like the randomest songs that you wouldn't expect a black metaler to do. Hell yeah, that'd be fun.
But make it better sounding than you predict. If somebody can make a black metal Nickelback cover, I mean, you're a genius. So
could be possible. I can see it.
Yeah, just
speed it up.
Yep.
And scream every word, buzzsaw every riff. Done.
Never made it as a wise man.
Yes, I'm already in.
Yeah, all right. You and I might be onto something, but thank you so much, everybody. We are here with Stormruler. Be sure to check out the debut album on Napalm Records, Under the Burning Eclipse. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.